Giuliani is receiving death threats this morning. Remember the comments he made earlier this week at that fundraiser for Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin? He was taking into question whether or not President Obama loves America. He says he often hears the president criticize the country more than praise the country and goes around the world apologizing for it. And yet, if you read the mainstream media headlines over the past few days, all of the problems surrounding these comments from the mayor have now been heaped on Governor Scott Walker.
Yeah, the criticism is trickling down to Governor Scott Walker. In fact, take a look at a few of these headlines here. The Washington Post editorial there saying Scott Walker's spineless silence. The Huffington Post, Scott Walker says if he doesn't know if Obama is a Christian. And the Associated Press reporting Governor Walker says he doesn't know if Obama loves his country.
Unbelievable. I gotta say, I think it's legitimate to ask Scott Walker what you think of Mayor Giuliani's comments. It was his fundraiser. I mean, of course, I would ask that question too. But to ask him, do you think the president's a Christian?
Completely out of left field.
What is that? It's bizarre. So here's Scott Walker's answer when asked, do you believe President Obama loves America? He says, quote, I think you should ask the president what he thinks about America. I've never asked him, so I don't know.
And then he was asked randomly whether or not he thinks that President Obama is a Christian in this Washington Post piece, and he was asked this. I've never actually talked about it, or I haven't read about that. I've never asked him that. You've asked me to make statements about people that I haven't had a conversation with about that. How could I say if I know either of you are a Christian? To me, this is a classic example of why people hate Washington, and increasingly they dislike the press. The things they care about don't even remotely come close to what you're asking about.
Well, of course, it's that gotcha journalism trying to paint him into a corner and put words into his mouth, and he spoke very eloquently there and wasn't going to have it.
But I'm kind of for gotcha journalism, actually. I think if you're running for president, you should have to answer all kinds of hard questions. That's totally fine. I mean, I'm for mean questions to candidates, for sure. I posed a lot of them myself. But why not make them relevant questions? Like, hey, what do you think of net neutrality? Do you think the government should take over the internet? Or there's just a lot going on in the world you could ask about.
Yeah, so many other meaningful topics that he could be grilled about instead.
It's so dumb.
Meanwhile, talk about hypocrisy. This week, Al Sharpton decided to rip into Mayor Giuliani and got up to the podium calling him a racist. Take a listen to this.
Don't y'all understand y'all are dealing with ramblings of a fading Republican who's saying do anything for attention. Rudy, first of all, needs a hug. Y'all haven't paid him no mind. He doesn't know anything but playing coded race games. He has no connection to reality. So step back and let him keep making mistakes. And you just keep the camera on him. And the minute he quiet down, bait him some more. And he'll wake up and do some more.
Okay, so just to recap for you, the Reverend Al Sharpton just accused Rudy Giuliani of, quote, doing or saying anything for attention. Irony alarms went off all through the country.
Al Sharpton hates the spotlight, Tucker.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
He does not like the spotlight.
People basically calling him a washed-up politician. Come on, have some respect for America's mayor who helped us survive through 9/11.
Ann Coulter was on the show yesterday, and here are her thoughts on Giuliani's comments. Take a listen.
Democrats generally do not call Republicans unpatriotic for the obvious reason that we aren't. But, you know, everyone keeps saying, oh, how can you see into his heart? You can't say this. Gosh, they sure call us racists a lot. Can they see into our hearts? And that's based on what? Because Republicans want to cut taxes, whereas the fact that Democrats generally do not love their country, I would base on things like Obama expressly rejecting American exceptionalism, his Attorney General, Eric Holder, saying we're a nation of cowards and constantly finding racists under every bed.
We asked for your thoughts this morning, and emails poured in. Barbara writes us, though, first on Facebook, it is going to be hard for the conservatives to get past their attacks, referring to the mainstream media. Should be ashamed of themselves. Their job is to report, not to help one side or the other.
And Jerry on Facebook saying there is always a double standard. The Dems are always quick with the camera to report on even small things they catch Republicans doing and always let their own leaders' comments slide. I used to be a Dem till I started seeing all the hypocrisy.
It's I mean, will the Washington Post even exist 10 years from now? I mean, so when media organizations fail, part of it is, you know, they've taken sides and they lose audience when they
spin into irrelevancy. I don't know, but Jeff Bezos bought them, so he's propping them up with his money.
So what do you think? Let us know. You can send us your views by Facebook or Twitter, or yell loudly. We'll hear you.
Yeah, smoke signals, anything. Email us, friends@foxnews.com. We read that as well. Coming